A letter on relationship and the lamp of fellowship. Beloved friends, no man changes himself because he loves, he changes because he begins to see that he is loved. When a man begins to see himself as God sees him, not as broken beyond repair, but as a soul worth redeeming, then love begins its true work. For self-love born in truth is not pride, it is the acceptance of the Father's mercy and the beginning of transformation. Correction without relationship is only a sermon, heard but seldom received. Words without fellowship cannot take root. They rest upon the surface of the heart and are blown away by the winds of offense. Correction needs the soil of relationship to bear fruit, and that soil is love, patient, kind, and willing to understand. Let all that you do be done in love. 1 Corinthians 16:14. And what is fellowship? Is it going to church on Sunday? Not always. Attendance alone is not fellowship, for fellowship is not the gathering of bodies, but the joining of hearts. Many share a service, yet remain strangers to each other's pain. They sing together, but do not suffer together. They hear the same sermon, yet never carry one another's burdens. True fellowship is when hearts are knit together in the Spirit, when you sit beside another not for appearance, but for love. It is when you pray through another's sorrow, stand with them in trial, rejoice in their victories, and mourn in their losses. Christ himself showed us this fellowship. He did not only call crowds, he entered homes, ate with sinners, washed feet, and carried the weaknesses of his friends in prayer. Shared interest reveals love, and what greater shared interest can there be than God, Christ, and his mercy? For love is not a feeling, but a verb, an act of the will expressed through compassion and faithfulness. Fellowship is not a public event, it is a personal investment. It is not built by routine, but by relationship. For Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you." John 15:12. Not as you love yourself, that was the old measure, but as he loved, fully, sacrificially, and without condition. To love your neighbor as yourself is to see him as part of you, but to love as Christ loved is to let that love cost you something. True fellowship is not convenience, it is communion. It is to be broken and poured out, as he was. Consider the tax collector with whom Jesus ate. His life changed not because Christ condemned him, but because Christ sat with him. Fellowship opened the door that judgment would have closed. At that table, love spoke louder than rebuke, and mercy rewrote the man's story. Jesus did not fear to be seen beside him, for he came not to protect his reputation, but to restore the lost. It is easy to feed a beggar from afar, but another thing entirely when he knows where you live. Compassion from a distance feels safe. Compassion up close costs comfort. Many pastors are like this. They preach well on Sunday, but seldom walk through the doorways of their people's lives. They know their flock in times of death and sickness, yet not in days of joy. But Jesus did not only come to comfort the broken, he came to dwell among the living. And let no pastor think he was called to carry the burden alone. Even Moses, the meekest of men, grew weary beneath the weight of the people. And the Lord said, "Gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, and I will take of the Spirit that is upon you, and place it upon them, that they may bear the burden of the people with you." Numbers 11:16-17. So it is today. No shepherd is called to stand alone, for true fellowship means shared burden, shared spirit, and shared love. When leaders refuse help, they deny the very pattern God set. Fellowship begins when a shepherd walks beside his flock and allows others to walk beside him. When Jesus delayed before going to Lazarus, it was not from neglect, but from wisdom. Relationship is not about rushing to every cry, but walking with those who trust his timing. His delay was not distance, it was depth. He made those with him important enough to wait, teaching us that the person is greater than the circumstance. He moved not from panic, but from purpose, and that too was fellowship. A shepherd's strength is not proven in the pulpit, but in the pain he shares. A pastor who cannot stand with his flock in trial has not yet learned fellowship. Relationship costs reputation, comfort, and pride. It will make you vulnerable and sometimes unappreciated. Yet that is the mark of true love, to be devalued and to keep serving. For Christ himself was not exalted in relationship, he was humbled by it. Fellowship means washing the feet of those who may never thank you. And so it is with sinners. Many are willing to help from afar, but few will walk beside the broken. Charity gives bread for a day. Relationship teaches a man to live. For love restores dignity, and what dignity restores, pride cannot steal. But I fear many circles of faith have built walls instead of doors. When fellowship becomes a closed circle, it loses its light. The church cannot heal the wounded if it will not welcome them. Relationship and time, these are the true medicines of change. Isolation breeds pride. Fellowship humbles the heart. If you wish to correct a man, walk beside him first. For even Christ did not teach from afar. He walked among the sick, touched the unclean, and revealed love before correction. Having no relationship with a man is like speaking of a treasure you have never found. And if you have found it, yet keep it hidden, what good is that treasure to others? The gospel is not a secret to guard, but a light to share. The one who hoards grace proves he has not yet understood it. Be careful, then, what dims the lamp. Some guard their own 12 and never learn to love beyond them. Yet even those 70 once sent lost their way, for they walked in calling but not in relationship. When relationship fades, ministry becomes motion, and light turns to habit instead of fire. Do not be jealous of those who seem to shine brighter in the church. Focus on your own flame. Let Christ brighten you from within, for the light others carry is not their own but his. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Once a man learns that he is loved by God, he finds not only a reason to live, but a reason to love others. When he knows that God has not forsaken him, his heart begins to love God in return. And that love does not stop with him. It flows outward. For the one who truly knows love cannot keep it to himself. He loves because he was first loved. 1 John 4:19. And when he loves others, he learns to stand firm, not out of fear, but out of devotion. For love is stronger than lust, and devotion firmer than desire. The man who loves God and others has found the bond that cannot be broken, the fellowship that keeps the lamp burning. I speak this truth with humility, for I too have known disappointment. When I came to Christ, I longed to serve, to shepherd others and become a pastor. I even enrolled for ministry, believing that in time I would be placed to serve. But when the season came to do the practical, the doors remained closed. I asked in my own church, I waited, I prayed, and I hoped. Yet even up to this day the answer has not come. Still, I have learned that relationship with God is not measured by success, nor calling by the hand of man. For though I have been disappointed, I cannot walk away. For love does not abandon its post when the door stays shut. It waits where God planted it. And though man may delay, God does not forget. Why then do I still go? Because love endures. You do not run from where you were hurt. You rebuild where love was broken. You do not forsake the place of rejection. You sow patience there. For relationship is not comfort. It is covenant. Love, once given, must endure even when it is not returned. If Christ had left the garden when men slept, there would be no cross, no redemption, and no hope. So I go still, not because I am strong, but because I love. I go to keep the lamp burning, even in sadness, for that is the work of love. For fellowship is love in action. It is walking with people, not preaching at them. It is serving God by serving others. It is not how many sermons we preach, but how many hearts we reach. It is not how bright we shine alone, but how many lamps we help to keep burning. For where there is true relationship, there is light, and where there is light, there is Christ. Grace and light be with you from the Shepherd's Dog.